Let's get acquainted. My name is Michael. I'm 24 years old, married with a young daughter, Jenny. My wife's name is Michelle. We were married 3 years ago. During that time, I graduated from college and went into business. I got a job at a branch office of a company that sells metal. The first months I sat in the office, as they say, did an hour at a time. But such work was not for me, especially since I wanted a bigger salary. I had heard that you can earn more on business trips. I switched to a more lively job. I had to travel to all cities and towns. It was on one of these trips that this incident happened to me. I was sent on a business trip to the city where my mother-in-law Natalia lives. With my mother-in-law, we communicated mainly by phone. For 3 years, she came to us 7-8 times. She worked as a doctor in a regional hospital. She was a pretty blonde with large breasts and a thin waist. Meetings with clients turned out to be long and tense. I wasn't free until the end of the workday. I called Natalie. "Hey Natalie, it's Michael. Michael, I'm in your town right now. I wanted to say hi to you from Michelle and bring you a gift from us." "Hi Michael, I'm so glad. Where are you?" "I'm standing on Main Street." "Wait, I'll be right there." Half an hour later, Natalie had already picked me up and we were on our way to her house. "Let's stop at the store. Get some groceries to celebrate your arrival." "I don't mind, especially since we need a break from work. It's been a hard day." At the grocery store, my mother-in-law bought a bottle of whiskey. The evening was getting darker and darker. We got home in the dark. We quickly prepared dinner, and then we were at the table. We drained the bottle of whiskey. Alcohol had a relaxing effect, not only on me. Natalie, a little flushed, smiled enigmatically. I already wanted a woman. Any woman. Even my mother-in-law. I began to openly flirt, showering the interlocutor with compliments. She seemed to like my attention, and she understood, in a feminine way, what it could lead to. But there was no resistance, on the contrary. She wanted to continue with her whole being. And I, as a man, could not disappoint this beautiful lady. "Well, shall we go to bed?" Natalie suggested. "I'll make your bed in the living room. Do you mind?" What could I answer? I followed my mother-in-law. Pulling the bedding out of the closet, she bent down to make the bed in the living room. "Do you mind?" What could I answer? I followed my mother-in-law. She bent over to put a sheet on the couch. From time to time, she bent over in front of me. I couldn't bear the sight. It was as if someone was nudging me in her direction. I don't know if she had a long relationship with a man or if she was just naturally sexy. But after what she did to me, I was like a lemon. That's for sure. No hops, no headache, just weakness in my arms and legs. They say that satisfying a woman is like unloading a carload of coal. I feel like I've unloaded a train. Thank God tomorrow's Saturday. No wonder I fell into the realm of sleep. The morning greeted with bright sunshine and a great mood. Yesterday's worries about the negotiations didn't seem so stressful anymore. Natalie was already up. I rolled around a little more and then went to take orientation. "Hey, son-in-law, how did you sleep? Did you have any nightmares?" greeted my mother-in-law with a charming smile. "No, I slept like a baby. Come on, take a shower and sit down at the table." The shower perked me up. Last night's bed scenes came to mind. Still, how adorable my mother-in-law is. Those delightful weighty breasts, a very nice back, and what's below is a masterpiece. Although I had a chance to appreciate this work of art yesterday, I didn't fully appreciate it. Breakfast was very tasty and caloric. You can see that mother-in-law tried. Yes, and the very attire of the mother-in-law said that she did not mind the continuation of last night. She was wearing a homemade robe. It was longer than her knees. There were no buttons, slits on the sides. After drinking a cup of tea, my mother-in-law got up and began to remove the dishes from the table. I watched her actions and the curves and shapes of her body. When she had collected all the dishes, Natalie turned her back to me and began to wash them. Now I could appreciate her shapely legs. The hearty breakfast and thoughts of repeating yesterday had played their part. My buddy was ready to continue yesterday's games. I quietly walked up behind her, wrapped my arms around her waist, and kissed my favorite mother-in-law's neck. She tilted her head to the side and responded to my kisses, and we were once again at the mercy of our desires. When it was over, my mother-in-law immediately went to the bathroom, and I sat naked on a chair and began to realize what had happened. It had only been a few hours, and already so much had happened. I hadn't had an affair since my wedding day, and then everything changed overnight. And the interesting thing is, I don't feel any remorse. On the contrary, something inside of me has become more acute. All my thoughts were preoccupied with my mother-in-law. Natalie, meanwhile, had taken a shower and was busy at the stove. "Hungry, son-in-law?" my mother-in-law asked playfully. "I'll fry up some sausage and eggs. He could certainly use a refill." "I don't suppose you'll say anything, Michelle?" mother-in-law asked. Somehow I wasn't going to. And what was there to say? I was just kidding. "Well, if you want to, say it. Maybe Michelle will understand correctly, or maybe we'll have a threesome," Natalie said, either seriously or jokingly. Apparently, I could see the question on my face as to whether it was a joke or what. I'm kidding. Are you scared, Michael? This is kind of sudden. I've never had anything like this before." "You're still young. Maybe you will someday. Have you ever had a threesome?" For some reason, the question just came out of my mouth. For a moment, my mother-in-law wondered if she should talk about it. But what happened between us? Played a part. Yes, it happened. What was it? This is what I've done again. It's not bad. It turns me on. But I've been having a little bad luck with partners lately. Honestly, I haven't had a man before you in over a month. That's where the passion comes from, isn't it? I'm a lucky man. "What about lovers?" I asked. To be honest, men my age aren't that capable anymore and are mostly married. "So I apologize for seducing you. I enjoyed it very much. You are very beautiful and very seductive. Thank you for the compliment." "It's not a compliment. It's the truth. Thanks anyway." My mother-in-law put the food on the table, and we started on our second breakfast. "Oh yeah, it's Natalie. I never realized that woman had such fire in her. When we saw each other infrequently, everything was family affairs. And now these revelations. I was amazed." The phone rang. It was Michelle. "Yes, honey, everything is fine. We've already had breakfast. Mike is doing well." My mother-in-law looked in my direction. "Do you want to talk on your own? He's right there." My mother-in-law held out her phone to me. "Hi, how are you guys doing?" I asked. "Everything's good. We're going for a walk right now. Mommy's not hurting you." "What are you?" "Mom is a sweetheart." After greeting her to the best of my ability, I looked toward my mother-in-law. Natalie smiled. "She's the only one who can," said hi, and it kissed from us. Everything as it should be. Except I forgot with the kiss. "Be sure to give your mom a kiss. I'll check with her later. When are you going home?" "I don't know yet. Yesterday's negotiations didn't go very well. Maybe I'll stay a day. If my mom doesn't kick me out." I looked at Natalie again. She jabbed her finger at me. "Okay, bye." Kissing her, I hung up the phone. If my Kel knew what we were doing with her mom, she would never let me go. I had forgotten that Michelle had asked me to kiss her. "Why didn't you give it to her? Come on, do your wife's will." I walked over to my mother-in-law, put my arm around her waist, and wanted to kiss her cheek. But Natalie intercepted my lips. My breath caught. It wasn't a mother-son kiss, but a passionate woman kissing a man. "Thank you, Michael, for the kiss from Michelle. I always dreamed that my son-in-law would give me such a greeting and kiss. I hope the next greeting and kiss will be just as hot. You bet it will. Shall we move to the bedroom?" The kiss turned me on a little. "I'm afraid I won't be able to make it after breakfast this morning. Don't worry, I have a secret weapon that will definitely help you." We indulged in pleasure all night. I've never met a woman with such art, and probably never will. Not even with my wife had I experienced such intense emotions. Toward morning we fell asleep. I had to go home in the evening. Saying goodbye, my mother-in-law asked me to say hello to Michelle and her granddaughter Jenny. Over the next few months I continued to have passionate encounters with Natalie whenever I visited her town. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't resist her intoxicating beauty. Eventually, the guilt ate away at me. I confessed everything to Michelle and apologized to her. She was understandably devastated by my betrayal. Through angry tears, she made me sleep on the couch and told me she needed time to think things through. Michelle agreed to marriage counseling. The months of therapy were painful but necessary. I cut off all contact with Natalie to focus on rebuilding my marriage. Michelle gradually regained trust in me, but our intimacy remained strained. After a year of counseling, Michelle told me that she had met someone else, a kind faith and a truthful man who cared for her. My heart broke, but I understood why she had sought comfort from another. We tearfully finalized our divorce. I was lost, rudderless. The only stable force in my life was Natalie. I showed up unexpectedly at her door, emotionally shattered. She welcomed me in, concerned about my haggard appearance. As I laid out all that was troubling, Natalie listened patiently, comfortingly holding my hand. But her demeanor changed when I admitted that I was hoping for a real relationship with her. Natalie sighed, full of regret and yet determination. "Michael, I really care about you, but we want different things. You still want the romance of a fairy tale, falling giddily in love and living happily ever after. My needs are simpler now. I just want a man with whom I can greet sunsets, a companion with whom I can enjoy the quiet moments of life together. I'm sorry." Her words pierced my heart, but they turned out to be true. Natalie hugged me while I cried. I foolishly clung to an imagined future with her to avoid facing the harsh truth about myself. That night I stayed in Natalie's guest room, emotionally drained. Over the next few days, Natalie sympathetically nursed me as I grieved not only my failed marriage, but also the fact that my ideal future with her had crumbled. Gradually, clarity emerged from beneath the rubble. I realized the flaws in the way I pursued love, my neediness, the rushed intimacy without really getting to know my partner, the passion that blinded me to warning signs. I'd used Natalie in part two, seeing her as an oasis amidst the turmoil, rather than a whole person with her own needs. She deserved better than that. I decided to work on myself first before looking for a new relationship. The day came when I left Natalie's house and started a new life. As we hugged goodbye, I thanked her fervently for her kindness and patience. "You have been a true friend these past few days, helping me find understanding during the most difficult time of my life. I can't repay you, but I promise to be grateful." Natalie smiled gently. "You don't have to repay me, just promise me that you'll grow. Someday you'll meet the right woman who will appreciate what a caring man you're becoming." I kissed Natalie chastely on the cheek. As I pulled away, my heart filled with bitter, sweet hope. The future remained uncertain, but I felt ready to face it with the wisdom gained from loss. For the next couple years, I dated occasionally, but mostly focused on self-improvement projects and new hobbies. I became comfortable enjoying my own company again. Then one day, when I least expected it, I met Lydia. Witty, sensible, insightful Lydia. Our connection developed slowly. We chatted nonstop for hours in cozy cafes. 6 months later, when I saw her name on my phone, I still had butterflies fluttering inside me. On the anniversary of our acquaintance, when Lydia and I were strolling hand in hand along the moonlit river alley, I suddenly stopped and turned to face her. I confessed that a year ago, having just gone through a divorce and a personal crisis, I had never imagined that I could feel so deeply happy and whole again, that she had given me hope and joy I hadn't even known I had. Lydia's eyes clouded over. She squeezed my hands tightly and told me that meeting me had been the best surprise of her life. I knelt down and held out the ring I'd been carrying around with me for a month, waiting for the perfect moment. Lydia joyfully said yes, hugged me and kissed me hard. In that perfect moment, I felt Natalie's words had come true. I had finally met the right partner who appreciated who I had become. Together with Lydia, anticipating our future together, I realized I was finally home. My winding journey in search of meaning and committed love was over.